Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Convos with Dederils. This is the 25th episode and we will be discussing marriage expectations versus reality. I chose this topic because there are lots of marriages happening today and I often wonder if it's for genuine reasons or if it's for show. Some have an idea what they're getting into while others are completely blinded about the realities of marriage and what it takes to say I do forever. According to an American Psychological Association, about 40 to 50% of married couples in the United States divorce, and the divorce rate for subsequent marriages is even higher. In Nigeria, last year, an Abuja-based lawyer recently declared on her Twitter page that 4,000 divorce applications have been filed in Abuja just 51 days into the new year 2020, and some of these marriages are less than a year old. I feel as though most times people have these unrealistic expectations about what marriage is, as they often get inspiration from romantic movies, social media, or people living fake lives pretending to be happily married. Which is why I have you here, Mrs. Ola, because I feel it's a very important topic and I would like you to share some realities on the expectations and realities of marriage. So thank you for being here. So would you mind please introducing yourself, ma'am?
Okay, my name is Olabisi Ola-soetan. I'm a marriage coach. Marriage counselor and coach. I have a platform called Sacred Place Wife where I share relatable marriage tips, Okay, great. So where I just talk to people about doing marriage right, doing marriage God's way, and just really talking about like topics like this, the real expectations, what are the realities of being married, telling stories and all of that from my own life and from the lives of other people,
Right.
So basically that's what I do, inspiring you to believe in marriage as a single person, helping you to choose right, helping you to understand yourself better, and then of course helping you to do your marriage right eventually.
Yes.
When you marry. That's what I do. I'm married, and my husband also runs the page for men. We are both counselors, and coaches.
I love that, because I love that you said something about inspiring single people to believe in marriage, because I've had some friends now, they're like, marriage is not even in their calendar. They're like, they don't even want to get married anymore. All they have to do is just have kids. So I'm glad that there's still someone inspiring people to believe in marriage. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, if you guys are on this live session, to my audience, I want to encourage you guys to participate, right? Because at the end of this session, Mrs. Bisi, we want you to pay attention. You're going to choose a winner you're going to choose two winners to win an awesome gift. All right. So if you could pay attention to the people participating during this session, and at the end of the session, she's going to choose a winner. So say very nice things to her, guys. Make her smile, right. Make her happy. I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Bisi. And so now we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to just go ahead and get into it. So before we begin, I'd like you to tell us some attributes you believe we as young singles should look for in a spouse that would increase our chances of having a successful marriage.
Okay, so I would say number one is you want to know the person on a journey of self-awareness. The person has to be on a journey of self-awareness. So you have to, they're interested in knowing who they are. They want to know themselves. And the signs that would tell you this is when they've made a mistake, they listen, they want to correct themselves. Right. So I'm not talking about when you are correcting them. About when they've made a mistake, it may not even have anything to do with you. They come back with stories, with learnings to say, I was thinking about so and so. This is what I realized. Those are like signs of a person on a journey of self-awareness. You want to be with somebody who is growing, who knows that there's more to life than just A, B, and C. I'm this and this person that I am. They're constantly growing. That's you also want somebody that is a learner, somebody who does not oppose accountability. Do you see? So
Right.
they're not like, oh, you know what, nobody can talk to me, I do what I like. They are able to listen to other people teach without necessarily feeling as if they have to, like, always have the final say in the room. They're able to learn. They're growing and they're lifelong learner. You also want to listen. You also want to look out for communication skills, right? Somebody who is able to, like, talk, speak, even when they cannot talk. Sometimes some people are quiet people, but they are not necessarily listeners. So somebody may be quiet and not be a listener, and listening is part of communication. So somebody may be quiet, but it doesn't mean that they cannot articulate their thoughts properly if they were asked the question. But some people don't like to talk. They don't want to be questioned, and they don't want to have to just answer your questions. Do you see? So they'll rather push everything aside. They'll rather just ask you to go on. You want to make sure that these are 3 things that you're looking for. Somebody who is on a journey of self-awareness, somebody who is accountable and committed to learning from other people, somebody also who is able to communicate. Now, all of them are casting stone to say, if you don't find this thing, go. You will see traits that show where a person is on the journey to that thing. So when I say somebody who is able to communicate, you may find somebody who has not yet developed the communication skill, like they're still working on it, but they are open to learning. They are not like, I don't want to talk about it, just forget it. They can't talk much. They get tired easily when it's time to communicate, but they want to. They listen to you and they take into consideration what you have said the last time for the next time. So it's not like, it's going to be 100% like, you know what, everybody is growing, do you see? But look for signs that point to these things. I would say, those are key.
So awareness, communication, and there was one more thing. What was the last one?
Learner, someone who's a learner and accountable.
Elena, someone who is willing to compromise too, and all of that. We thank you, Mrs. Bisi. I love that. So I need to write that down somewhere. I'll watch this again because I'm looking for my Mr. Right. Just saying, but so do you believe that we as a young generation, do you think that we're rushing into marriage and we're setting ourselves up for disaster?
I mean, I don't think we're rushing into marriage more than our mothers did. Like some of our mothers married really early, as early as 18, 19. So I don't think there's anything new with the timing that we're getting married. Although, there was a season when, you can marry much later, but now it feels like everybody, you've gone to school and finished school by 21, you're done. By 23, you've had 2 jobs. Just, it's kind of like you have lived a whole lifetime.
Right.
So I feel it's not like we're rushing into marriage. What else is left to do? Do you understand? So it's not like we're rushing into marriage. But in that same vein, there are people in this dispensation that will say, I don't want to get married, and they're not even faking it. They're okay with it. Do you see? So I feel like what is happening is not that we're rushing into marriage only to end up making things worse or getting into the disaster. It's not that that's necessarily what's causing the breakdown in marital values or just the increase in divorce. But of course, there's culture that's now like cross. There's new information. There is the movement, different movements going on there. Women who are more exposed. Do you understand? And it's just a shift that will create sort of like a new perspective. So I don't think we are rushing into marriage, but I know that we can do with a lot more information, just like women in the past. You can do yourself a favor by making sure that when it comes to you, because you may not really be able to control what every other person does, but when it comes to you, the question you have to be asking yourself is, am I ready? You also have to ask yourself, why am I getting married? Am I getting married because I'm seeking approval from other people? Am I getting married because I feel like marriage will complete me? Am I getting married because I'm alone or lonely? Am I getting married because I feel like, somebody will validate me or make me whole or just really take care of my bills? ask yourself these personal questions to come to your own why. That
Right.
way you can tell yourself, am I rushing in? Am I even going too late? Or if you're saying you don't want to go at all, am I afraid? What is my fear based on? These are questions that will be evergreen,
Right.
regardless of the age and the time we're in. And they're pertinent questions that you have to ask yourself as a person before you make the decision to get married.
And to be honest with you, I feel like now in the age of social media, where you're constantly seeing all these marriages out there where people are literally celebrating, I feel like that's pressuring a lot of younger people to go try to
Right.
get married and have that celebration as well. And they don't know
Yeah.
what they're getting into because of that. So they're just like, oh, I want to have a wedding. And then you find out
Right.
that these marriages, they don't last long because they don't know what they're actually getting into. So I think that's the way social media is affecting how marriages should, how people should approach marriage. I think, I don't know what you think about that.
Well, you can say that. I mean, it's a bit more graphic now, but
Mm-hmm.
also, like I think that if we are really genuine about it, people love marriage. The idea
Mm-hmm.
of, if we, in the days of before social media, we would say it was the romance novel, it was the magazines that pressured
Mm-hmm.
people to be there, that created a picture of what you think marriage looks like. So yeah, definitely social media does a good job of showing you these lovely pictures of the wedding day, and you think that, you know what, yeah, this is what you need to do at this time, for you
Mm-hmm.
just want a beautiful wedding. And then you go fall in love and you convince yourself that you're in love with somebody and they're okay for you. So
Mm.
yeah, we can say that social media can create that kind of pressure, but not pressure, desire. And
Okay.
desire is something that has always been there, even
Mm-hmm.
in the days of our mothers. Do you understand?
Right.
So desire
Right.
is what is being created, and you can never do away with desire. Something will create it. If social media
Mm-hmm.
is cracked, something will present it. Maybe your neighbor's wedding, it may be something, and the same way social media is creating the desire, the same way social media is also currently creating the fear. There's many bad stories out there as well.
Right. I
You
like
see?
that. I like that
So
point of view.
that's why
Yeah.
you have to drill down to the personal question. If something creates a desire in you, you still
Mm-hmm.
have to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Where
Mm.
did desire come from? Do you see?
Mm.
What is
Mm-hmm.
this desire going to satisfy in my life?
Mm.
What am I needing that this desire is showing to me? Do you
Mm-hmm.
see? So it's important to ask those questions. But people just go through the motions of life
Mm.
without really querying their thoughts, questioning their beliefs, and that's why we end up in situations that we don't like.
Hmm. Which goes back to what you first said in the beginning, the three things it takes to have a successful marriage, the three things you should look for in a spouse. I love that. Thank you so much. So now we're not going to go into the expectations of marriage, and this is just some things that I've seen that people think once they get into marriage it's going to fix for them.
Yeah.
So the first expectation I feel like that people have is, once I am married, he or she will complete me and fill the void in my heart, and he will do anything to make me happy. What are your thoughts on that?
And I think I said this, while
I like how you just
I was
laughed.
uh, that's a myth, That's like, one of the, evergreen myth on marriage. Say, you know what, this person, because they love me, they will do everything to make me happy. They would complete me. They'll make me whole. That's not the reality. In reality, marriage requires you to be whole. Do you understand? As an individual. So marriage is the union of two whole people. So imagine that you are expected to be made whole in marriage. That's already a recipe for disaster.
Mm.
Do you get? So again, start questioning your beliefs. In fact, more importantly, start talking about them, speaking out, so that people can help you, like, reorientate you and all of that. Nobody completes you in marriage. In fact, if anything, marriage is going to reveal the whole inside of you. It's going to reveal the neediness. It's going to reveal the lack of love and trust in yourself. Marriage is going to make sure it exposes all of that. And there's a reason why marriage exposes it, because you will have to go on your journey. And so the partner you are expecting to make you whole is also on a journey. What if your partner has not even figured out how to do that? Does that mean you'll be stranded for life? Do you see? So marriage will expose all of these things, because You have to go on that journey. And if you pay attention to yourself as a single person, you will see that life is constantly trying to expose that thing to you. You just didn't pay attention enough. So it's not that marriage is the one that exposes it. Life is also doing it. When you are looking at things, when you begin to observe where your approval comes from, the things that make you happy, you can begin to tell yourself, you know what, this points to so and so. So start to pay attention to yourself now, and you can see if you are waiting now, for instance, say marriage will make me whole. You have to ask yourself, what if I never get married? What's going to happen to me? Am I going to be miserable for life? Okay, I want to get married at 24. What if I don't get married at 24? What's going to happen to me at 25? Right. Am I going to be unhappy? Why do I want to get married at 24? Who got married at 24 and became the standard? You see, when you ask these questions, you will find that you will find the answers now before you get married. So to correct that, marriage does not make you whole. Marriage will reveal your neediness. Marriage will reveal the lack of completeness. Marriage will open you up that you will see yourself and you will see your partner. So marriage does not make you whole at all. What marriage needs is a whole person that can come to the marriage as a whole person. Now, 1 + 1 in marriage is equal to 1, not half and half. You understand? Not 1 and half.
Okay.
1 + 1 equals to 1. You and your partner coming together will come to one whole. You know how the Bible says 2 shall become 1.
1, yeah.
Not a half of you and half of your partner. Nor is it a whole of your partner and half of you, or a whole of you and half of your partner. So if you're waiting for marriage to make you whole, that's already a disaster waiting to happen.
So right now I'm single. For everybody that's single out there, your advice to us is develop yourself.
Right.
Work
Develop
on you.
yourself. Ask questions. Ask yourself questions. Don't just think, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. Or ask yourself, where did that desire come from?
And let me ask you a question. Go ahead, continue.
You go on, please.
So for one thing that, and I feel like one thing that I was thinking, this is me getting personal here, just in my self-awareness, my self-development, I was thinking of maybe I should somewhat attend therapy and just to see how some of my past has affected me, and just to help me with building myself as a whole person, and just to getting to know myself more. I don't know, how would you advise for a single person to just try to get to know ourselves more, and just build ourselves? What are some things we can do
if you can afford it? You don't go. It's not necessarily because you have problems. You may want to see somebody because you're on a journey. That's always a good idea. But also you can read books. Do you see? Now, what really brings information to us is not really the things we come in contact with. What brings things to you is an awareness and an acceptance of a truth. Do you understand? So once you accept that you need to grow, you need to learn. Once it becomes a desire in your heart to become a better version of yourself, naturally the things that will make you better will gravitate towards you.
I love that.
Those things are always around. They fly about in the air. The books that people are reading, they've been there forever. You see, you may scroll on Instagram, see a post that will benefit you, and scroll past it.
Yeah.
Something that will grow you, you have scrolled past it. You see, it's not because it's not there. It's there, you just aren't paying attention. But so you have to ask yourself, how badly do I want to know myself? How badly do I want to grow? How badly do I want to become better? Those are the feelings that will push you to do the necessary. It may be therapy, it may be reading books, it may be just doing a coaching session, maybe getting a coach. It may simply be just paying attention to the stories people are telling and trying to seek out the truth. You may be asking questions, the people who are married around you. That seeking, a seeker's attitude is what changes you. Do you understand? So you have to ask yourself, do I have that attitude now? Because many people want to learn, they want to grow, but they don't really have it. So it hasn't come into their awareness as a belief system, and therefore it cannot create the habits that is required to sustain that kind of life. So you want to make sure that you come into that awareness first, that truth whereby whether it's for marriage, whether it's for not for marriage, whatever it is, you are a learner, you are a seeker, you're somebody who is interested in growth. And then you can then do the things that it prescribes to you. Whether read that Instagram post, follow stories, pages that tell good story, that tell practical examples about marriage, read books on emotional intelligence, read books on communication, go for therapy, talk about your trauma. More importantly, start to pay attention to yourself. When you do something, don't just say, oh, this is who I am. This is who I am. Ask yourself, why am I this way? Nobody has to be there. Just be more introspective as a person. Because in marriage, when things happen, it will require you to kind of like understand where the person is coming from. Even if it's a bad thing, you will need to, if you come to marriage counseling, we will have to be digging down to what is the root of that behavior, right? What is the trauma attached to that behavior? So as a human being, as single people, you want to start now. Don't just be judgmental, going all over the place. Oh, look at that person. Oh, look at that person. Look at how they're behaving. What kind of a thing is this? Before you judge something, seek to understand it. And seeking understanding makes you introspective. It doesn't make you hasty. You're not going to be just jumping and giving your opinion everywhere. These are things that single people need to learn now. Stay calm. Go within yourself. Ask the question, do I even need to be talking at this time? Do you understand? So that you can become introspective, and also that will help you. But of course, it's always a good idea.
Yes, thank you so much. And for what I've come to understand is change, like, it's one of the hardest things to do. Like you mentioned self-awareness, you're aware, and then we have to go into how to change, and that's just like, that's a battle in its own. So
right.
that's like you're fighting, you're punching everything.
Because I feel the lighting is really bad here. Just give me a moment.
Definitely. This is the next expectation that I came across. It says we will always have each other's back no matter what. That's what people believe that marriage is about. We will always have each other's back no matter what.
Okay. So with this expectation, yeah, ideally we should always have each other's back, you know, but the reality is that sometimes we are more convinced about the other person's right or wrong. So say, for instance, somebody say, oh, I want to do this, and you're sure that it would not work. Because you're convinced about your rights and they're wrong, you will find that you will stay on the path of being convinced about your rights. So you are just like, I already know this will not work. And that may seem like you are opposing them, or you are not being supportive at that time. Those instances happen in marriage. So if you really want to come to a place in reality where you have each other's back, you have to know that just as the way you are convinced about your idea is the way the other person is convinced about their idea. So what you want to do is make sure that you understand that you're on the same team, right? And not on opposing teams. The reality is that you have to know that we are on the same team, so that sometimes you can maybe relax and go all the way to where the other person is and say, okay, you know what, let me try to understand what you're saying. But realistically speaking, if we let ourselves go, what we do is that we just stay in our place where I'm convinced about what I'm saying, and I know we shouldn't be doing this as a couple. You're convinced about what you're saying, and you think this is what we should be doing, and this is the direction we should be moving as a couple. I know that I don't need to change. You know that you need to change. We just stuck with our own opinions, and it doesn't mean that we are wrong, but then neither person is wrong. Then who stops to listen to the other person? So at least know that you're on the same page, know that you're on the same team, and know that whatever you do, it is for the cause of a good home. It is for the cause of peace, for the cause of a happy marriage, which is really your vision. That can then bring you back to say, you know what, no matter what, we would have each other's back. Because if I see that you're convinced about what you want to do, but more importantly, I see sort of like the intention of that idea, and I know that it's not because you want to ruin us, you want to drag us through the mud, or really take us to a terrible, which most people don't have intentions of. You will find that it's easier for me to, you know what, even though I know that I'm right, I'm able to, you know what, just let go, because I see that there's deep conviction, you know, there. So yes, we are supposed to support each other no matter what. But does it happen all the time? No. If you want it to happen all the time, you have to stop and think, this thing that I know that is right, does the person know, the other person, does he know or does she know that it's right? What is right for them? When you find out what's right for them, you can then bring the context of that right and the intention and then weigh it. That will then begin to tell you how you can stop and not hold on to your opinion tightly. So it will not be because you are wrong that you are agreeing with them. It will be because you are moving towards the same direction. At the end of the day, the goal is the family. The goal is the marriage. And that's what it means to have each other's back. It's not because sometimes some things will not make sense to you. There are some things that will not make sense to you at all. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense to the other person.
Right.
Do you?
I like that. So supporting each other, and that's where communication basically also comes in.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we're going to go into the third expectation. As long as we have sex all the time and I keep him full, my man is not going anywhere. He ain't going nowhere. Period. I'm just kidding. What do you think? Is that a realistic expectation?
I'm sure a lot of people here who can disagree with that, you know.
Yeah.
As long as I have sex, my man is not going anywhere. I mean, well, some people can say that, you know, because a lot of marriages it's just the honest truth. Sometimes when we do have, you know, cracks in our relationship, it can open the door to emotional affairs. It doesn't even have to be sexual affair. It doesn't have to be about sex. You know, it can just push you in the direction of another person. Do you see? That happens. Do you see? But of course, is that really why these things happen? Maybe not necessarily. So you can have sex with a person and they still have in them the desire. Sex is really about desire. Do you understand? So, and sometimes a person cheating on you in your relationship did not start in your relationship. You just did not notice, or you pushed this aside when you were dating, because there were signs of those acts even before you got married. Do you see? So a person who has shown signs that they're cheating on you, or they have a wandering eye, a person who has a wandering eye where they're always looking at somebody else, they're always talking to the opposite sex, forming intimate relationships, even though that person hasn't cheated on you, they're already working in the direction of it. Do you see? So you may feed that person all you like, have sex all you like, if you have not dealt with the root of the issue, which is a lack of contentment, which is the spirit of lust. Do you understand? Or just an ideology. You will find that in this age, there are certain ideologies that are gaining root, which is that people are beginning to question the idea of monogamy. So if you have a partner who has shown you signs or engaged in a conversation where they think monogamy is scam or is impossible to uphold, whether they're cheating on you yet, you must see it coming.
Yes.
So if you have not dealt with the roots of, and they can be a fantastic husband to you, they just want to be able to have sex with one or two other people. So you have to know what is the root. So as a single person, don't just be looking at, oh, he's not cheating on me right now. What is the content of their conversation with you? What is their ideology about? When they're talking to you, what do they believe in? Because they are believing in their life. Do you understand? So don't think, oh, if we have sex, you just need sex. A person who wants to have sex with two people is different from a person who needs sex all the time. You can have sex with him 6 times and he still wants variety. You can have sex with her every day and she wants variety.
Yes, Lord.
The belief system that's what they need for their life. You see? So if you haven't dealt with that, there's also the spirit of lust, whereby it's just really hard for them to put their flesh under, for them to be committed. They may not really go out to go and look for somebody to date, but if they're ever tempted, they'll fall for it. So you can't guarantee that if I have sex with him, you may be having sex with him, but he's not been tempted yet. Do you understand? There are also other people who just, you know, they just lack contentment. You know, they are just promiscuous. Do you understand? Make sure that you're going to the root of the matter. But it's a myth. It's not true that, oh, sex is the only thing that people cheat for. right? Sometimes sex is even something that happens as a result of an emotional affair. So they've both invested emotionally. That happens. Sometimes sex happens because a game was played. So two people who thought they were safe. Somebody who thought, oh, I know when to stop. We're just playing. I know he likes me. I know she likes me. It's just nice to be wanted. I know when to stop. Then they have sex. And so it can be sort of like an animalistic tendency. What you want to make sure is that you're communicating with your spouse, like you're asking questions, especially if you're not married, and you're paying attention to the content of their conversation. If you are married, you also want to know that as you are having the sex, you are creating communication, because you may be having sex, but it may not be the kind of sex they want. So create ease of communication around your sexual experiences, and you will find what it is. But if you're married and somebody is cheating on you, it's not your fault. It's not because even if you're not having sex with them, some people rather divorce before they cheat on their partner. So it's different strokes. Don't turn to one thing and say, oh, this is it and this is what's going to happen. Try to gain understanding around the issue, and you can find it for you.
I like that. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people agree with what you just said. Open communication, very important. This is the next expectation that we see. He loves me so much. Oh no, before we go into that, one moment. My spouse will remain the same person he was when we were dating. What do you think about that?
Of course not. I mean, will you remain the same person?
No, I'm ever growing. But some people, I feel like some people have that idea that it's gonna remain the same.
Yeah, so that person should ask himself or herself that, and that's why marriage is a faith. It's a journey of faith. Do you see? So what you're marrying is like potential, like signs, or at least proof of what is to come. That's what you're marrying. So if you say, oh, that's why if you are looking at getting in a relationship with somebody, ask yourself, what is the proof of what's to come? So you want to look at the situation, and if you want to marry somebody with integrity, you want to marry somebody who is God-fearing, what is the proof in their life of that thing that you are looking for? Do you understand? Because people change. A God-fearing, actually, you can marry a Christian, a born again, or you can marry a Muslim that is a devout Muslim, or somebody who is just into God, and 5 years down the line they get in a job, or they marry, or they meet a friend, or they take on a new belief and they change on you. Do you understand? So they are in a season. Do you see? They are in a season, and that's why marriage is a journey of faith. You don't know for sure what's going to happen. What you want to trust is that you have actually entered into a journey with somebody you can go through life with, somebody you can talk to, somebody you can relate with, somebody that can open up to you. Do you understand? Somebody that can open up to you as well, so that you don't think that, oh, you know what, everything is about me. Sometimes people are in a season and it has nothing to do with you. Do you get what I'm saying? It has nothing to do. So you want to make sure that you are asking the right questions. I'm trying to get more light into my face. Do you get? Because I feel like you. So you want to make sure that you're in a relationship with somebody who you can talk to, somebody who can talk to you as well, so that you are not just thinking that, oh, okay, you know what, once I marry this person, oh, I'm now guaranteed for life. They will never change. No, they will come into different seasons of their life. You will change. You may you may marry as a person who is very silent and quiet, and not as adventurous, and all of a sudden you are in your 30s and you're thinking, also a death happens around you, and you're thinking, what is even the essence of this life? And all of a sudden you start to question everything, and you want to make sure that you are in a place where you can live your life fully, and then all of a sudden your husband is thinking, where is this coming from? Sometimes you have to know what is a season. You have to know when something is changing for good. You have to know when you are actually going to be a part of what is going to institutionalize that thing. Do you get what I mean? Sometimes change does not happen without your permission. Do you understand? So some things that we want, say for instance, you want somebody to grow and be different, but you're not willing to fan it to flame. It's like when you have your children and they're like, you are expecting that your children will become more confident in themselves or that they will try new things, but you're not paying attention to look out for when that child tries one thing. If you are just telling, try new things, it may not really be as effective. But when you spot an opportunity where the child is attempting to or has done something that looks like where you are driving them towards, what do you then do? You blow it out of proportion. You make it about the child. You praise them. You praise the courage it took. You say affirmative words. You say, you know what? You can do this. It's in you. It's not just something you're convincing them to do. It's something that it's in them. They just need to bring it out. So that's how we collaborate with whatever is responsible for change to also like institutionalize the change. So what you have to, that's how we journey through life. It's about faith. It's about affirmation. It's about encouraging each other towards God, towards the direction of growth. You are not there to control your spouse. You are not them to keep them in one place. You are not them to make sure that they are just one person. Never change your meal. That's not your duty. Your goal is to marry somebody you are comfortable with, right? Somebody you can be open with, somebody you can love. When you marry that person, you are to allow them be, because love is very multifaceted and it puts into question, it captures seasons and all of that. Then you find that in a way you can support them through the journey of life. And they can always come back to what their values are and what's true for them. Not necessarily what's true for you or what you just want them to be. Do you understand?
Yes. You're dropping bars over here. We're loving it. So someone has a question. This is Maribel. I'm just gonna take it really fast. She said, does our culture affect marriage?
Yeah, of course, culture affects marriage. I mean, that's what I said today. Like, if you take a traditional African man and he's speaking about how he's doing his marriage, the culture in his home, what they're doing, and you take somebody from like another culture, maybe somebody in America, for instance, and talking about, you see a difference. Do you see? Culture definitely affects marriage. It does.
Thank you so much. So going into the next expectation, I feel like for single people, especially those that don't want to marry, they believe that once you get married, you lose your freedom and everything revolves around your spouse. What do you think about this?
No, well, again, if it's a belief system, it will likely happen to you. If that's what you believe. If you feel like you will lose yourself, you'll probably do it. It will probably happen. So you want to start there. Why do you think you lose yourself? Why do you think you lose yourself? Why do you think the fact that it happened to somebody does not mean it will happen to you. Do you understand? So why do you think that yourself? What kind of a person are you now? Do you understand? Do you walk in your power? Do you allow yourself to grow? Are you a person who is not afraid of speaking up? Are you intuitive? Are you respectful of yourself and other people? Because if you think that you lose yourself, you likely carry yourself in a way that makes people tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. You have to understand what, especially as single people, is very important. Don't allow other people's relationship to be your own. Some of you are not married, but you are married in other people's marriages.
I love that.
You're already married. You carried it all around your neck. Their fear is your fear. Their problem is you have not even met a man yet, but you already have problems with that man. Do you see? So make sure that your own marriage is your marriage, and that's why you have to sieve information. You have to know what you're allowing to get into yourself, because some people that tell you, "Oh, I'm not my person, my man does it," they attracted that relationship because of who they are. So who are you and what are you going to attract? Because not every married woman loses herself. There are people who, they live their life and their couple, they're happy, they're doing well. Do you see? So ask yourself, who am I and what am I allowing into my life by the things that I believe about myself and about my future? That is an important question. But don't just accept, oh, people lose their. Who told you? Who told you people lose their? I mean, I'm myself. I'm still myself. You know, in fact, I'm more myself now than I was when I got married. Do you understand? My husband keeps encouraging me every day. The first question he asks me if I want to do something is, do you want to do it? How do you feel about it? Do you like, down to if I dress up and say, babe, is this nice? How do you feel? If you love it, I love it. Do you see? In fact, if anything, I'm the one who does the opposite. You understand?
I love it.
Thinking that people have bad marriages out there. Think about your own. What do you want it to be? How am I going to? Because guess what? We are more we attract who we are, and we attract of our kind. So you will find that who you are dating, don't always just say, oh, I'm dating so person and they're doing this to me. If you really want to fix things, you have to start with yourself and say, what is it about myself that makes it easy for this person to talk to me like this? What is it about me that makes it easy for a person to slap me or to ridicule me or to disrespect me? You understand? You have to ask yourself these questions, and they're hard questions. If you ask yourself, the answer will come to you that you have not carried yourself properly. And it's not about saying, oh, I can't take nonsense. Some of us say, I can't take nonsense. When they dish it, you will take it. Because you are desperate to be married. So it's not about I can't take it. These things are deep, and it starts from knowing that, you know what, like we said at the beginning, marriage does not complete me. Marriage does not make me whole. It starts as far back as that thought. You see, down to what we agree. Because most people get in a relationship because somebody toasted them. What's there not to agree? The guy is fine. He's doing well. He has a job. What is there not to agree on? So you agree, and then you start to see how it goes. Do you understand? So make sure that you understand that even when you are with toxic people, it's not everybody in this life that will get with a toxic person. Do you see? And you can't say a toxic person should not be in a relationship. You can't say that, oh, should we pack all the toxic people and go and put them on an island? It's not possible. Toxic people too are normal people who don't even know they are toxic. So the question is, why did you end up with one? Do you see? Make sure you start from there and start knowing that your energy is very important, right? The things you believe about yourself, the way you settle down is very important. Some of us settle for toxic people because they kind of, is trauma meets trauma. You two are coming from somewhere. So if you find that you have an attachment to a certain type of abuse in a relationship, do you see, you want to check your past. You want to check your life. What is the similitude in that in my life? What connects to this in my life? You'll find that trauma can point you. Okay, let me give you an example. So today, my husband and I were driving, and he saw this bus where there was like a struggle, a small bus, where there was a struggle in it, you know, and some guy was sitting at the back. It just seemed like there was some struggle. And my husband was like, oh my God, I think they're robbing that guy. You know what? We need to do something. We need to help you. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We have to call other people. We can't just go by ourselves. You know, okay, stop the car. Now turn the car around first. You know, and I'm like, we also need to watch what is really happening. Now, in the process of all this, we suddenly realized that the guy, they were trying to bring down a cow or a ram from the bus. That's why they were struggling. They were struggling with a ram. And we thought, oh, maybe they're trying to rob a person. Why did my husband think this? My husband has been in a situation before where he got into a bus and he was robbed. In Nigeria, we call it one chance. And so trauma from that instance has now made him alert and vigilant, extra vigilant. Now, it seemed like a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because clearly he hasn't gotten over that situation. Do you see? So sometimes your pain, right, your trauma can make you a whole lot defensive, that you now attract somebody who is going to see that defense as a threat and then seek to control you. So they are not controlling you just because, oh, they're a controlling person. Do you see? There's some kind of energy. So sometimes you will find that if you just relax, know that nobody can control you. You can just simply say no, or you can walk away. You will find that you are able to communicate your true intentions better without diminishing what the person wants to, and say, you know what, I'm not going to stand for this. And maybe the person can just put themselves together. Or your trauma can show up, in another way, where he just makes you, because you have been in a situation where your parents have controlled you and you've sought this liberty, he then makes you small, you never speak up in a situation, and all of that. So it can be either positive or negative. But you want to make sure that especially as a single person, you want to make sure that you know that you're not stuck. You don't have to condone what you cannot live with. So people are in a relationship condoning things they know they cannot live with in the long run. If it never changes, can you love the person for a long time? You know you can't condone it. But the question is, why are you still there? And you say, I can't live. Is it the person that is holding you down?
Yeah, the one.
So most things, if you start with yourself, it gets clearer. Because sometimes people are not bad because, they're just bad. The way we label toxicity now, the way we say, people are narcissists, the way we put labels on these things, as if those people, all of them fully know. Sometimes a narcissist is somebody who is just fully engrossed in themselves. Can you tell a person not to love himself or herself? Do you understand? So they are not being a narcissist because they are trying to attack you. They are living their life, but you are not. Do you understand? So sometimes those people are not the way they are because it's a personal attack, and you have the right to walk away from it. Do you understand? And so don't waste your single season trying to change people, which is what people do. I'll change him when we get married. Don't do that. Don't do that. Your season is a season that comes with the gift of choice, so that we can avoid premium tears when you get married. So to waste that choice on I will change him, it's like you're doing yourself a huge disservice. You see, because that choice is there for a reason. You're going to go and love the person unconditionally. So imagine that you are in a place where you are told, choose this thing, marry the person that aligns with your values, marry the person you can live with, so that you can love them unconditionally, so that you can give that love a chance to be tested, and you wait with them. But you are now saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to marry somebody who I cannot live with. I'm going to marry somebody that will annoy me. I'm going to marry somebody that cheated on me. And I'm going to pray and hope that they will change when we get married. Do you see what you're doing? You're throwing away your choice. You're throwing away the gift of this season to enter a season where the rules change. Do you get?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. They're loving you out here. Even I'm learning out here. Like, I need fun. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I mean, you're really, really dropping gems, and I think everybody is learning a thing or two here. And you can look at the comments as well. They're learning a lot. But the thing is, it's already 1:54, and I'm sorry, but we want to keep you longer. Do you mind staying with us longer, guys? Beg her to stay with us. Oh, you have to.
Maybe another 10 minutes. I really had to go.
Okay, I have some more questions here, but I'm just going to choose one more. And once I choose that one, and then we'll attend to people's questions. Let me see. The other thing they say is when kids get in the picture, the love declines.
Well, the honest truth is kids are a handful. So when kids get in the picture, there's a tendency to focus on that season and say, you know what, because you have your hands full, there is work. Parenting is work as well. So you want to do it right. You want to do all of that. But of course, marriage is about intentionality. You have to always remember why you're together in the first place, and what relationship is the most important, because your kids need your relationship to be stable. They need your relationship to be full of love. They need your relationship to work. So while you may tend to focus on your kids, you also want to know that if you focus on your marriage, you are doing your kids a favor. You are doing them a great favor. You are helping them become better stabilized. So you can never lose being intentional with your marriage. You can never lose out. You can never lose out. So you want to make sure, yes, kids can be a handful in marriage, but if you find that a couple is intentional about their intimacy, about their communication, about their love, we can always make it work. We can always come back to the first thing that brought us together, that brought the kids in the first place. So you have to know that your marriage is not about your kids, do you see, but your kids benefit greatly from your marriage. So you decide where you want to, what should suffer. Neither should suffer, but you can never lose if you pay attention to your relationship, because out of that will flow all that your kids will benefit from. So yes, I won't lie. When kids show up, that's a whole different journey entirely. But with intentionality, which is really the intentionality that you should have been doing your marriage with in the first. So people don't have kids and they still don't communicate. There's no intimacy. So it's not like the kids are the excuse. The real question is, how badly do you want a great marriage? How badly do you want to be with your spouse? Like I said, once you accept a truth, it can push you in the direction of what needs to be done.
I thank you so much. Someone said something here. I don't know if I agree with this, but I don't know what you think. Concentrating all of your energy on the family falls mostly on women and not men.
Well, again, it depends on where you are speaking from. So the truth of the matter is, we are coming from a culture where men have worked. I've in a sense, done the hard work. We are now moving into a culture where women are working as well. It's not longer just, daddy going out to get money and mommy taking care of children. Do you see? So we are just coming out of a world, a culture, an experience where women have been the caregivers and they've done a good job of it. Men have also gone out to look for food and they've done a good job of it. So wherever and that culture is not fully refined yet. Do you see? So at best, what you can do right now is focus on your own dynamic, right? The dynamic of your relationship. It will not make sense if you have a one-income household where your husband is the only one doing the work, and then you are expecting the same kind of intense attention and understanding that you give to the kids. It may not be fair. And if that man still expects you to do all that by yourself, based on what you are doing and where it's coming from, that may be fair. So you want to make sure that you slow down and with proper understanding come to a place where you can understand each other. Do you see?
Right.
But it's not a woman's job alone to raise the children. We have different strengths, we have different understanding. We can both collaborate and do a good job. Our children are better off when we are both involved than when one just focus on their schoolwork, their emotional development and all of that. If you're a man here, it's your duty to raise your children. If you're a woman, it's your duty to raise your children. Make sure that you're speaking. But if you're married to somebody who doesn't quite get it yet, it's not for you to just throw your hands up in the air. Find the root cause and be willing to begin to appeal to their sense of, because it's a matter of sometimes it's about vision. Do you see? Some people are just like a Jessica about raising a child. So for instance, you may say, I don't want to smack my children because I've read an article that says that if you hit your children, it can cause emotional disorder or something. You have read that and believed it, but has your partner read it? Do they believe it? So you just saw your partner smack your child and you're like, oh my god, never do that. That's not right. For children, raising children, it's bad for the child. And he's looking at you like, hello, you shouldn't even be doing this in front of the child. But you are protecting your child and defending your child, that you have failed to realize that you have a marriage, that you are constantly exchanging ideas every day. So sometimes we want to take a step back and understand that thing properly before you even attempt to criticize it. Do you see? But no, it's not. Women may seem like they do more in terms of the nurturing and raising children for now, But there are men who are also great nurturers and are stepping up to the plate and are doing the work. A part of societies, we're also a part of the problem where we're very stereotypical. When we all agree collectively that this is where we want to go, we face it without any question. When somebody goes the other way, we're like, why are you going there? That's not where we agreed to go. Come back here. So if you see a man taking care of his students, you will find that the same people that says a man should be involved will say, where's your wife? Do you understand? So it's kind of like we all agree. So you also have to train yourself to not make comments like that. So it's not just what your relationship. You see, what kind of comments are you making when you see people who are hands-on with their children? If your man tells you now that he's a stay-at-home dad, how does that make you feel? You see, this is a larger part of the problem. Are you going to scorn at him and be like, oh, he must be lazy, or are you going to fully embrace the idea that, okay, if you're seeing a man should be hands-on, maybe it's also possible that the man is the nurturer, and the woman is more ambitious and driven in the workplace. You see, works for their family. Why do you want to raise your child at that? Do you see? So these are the larger, portion of the work. But ultimately, face your own relationship and work your way to understanding.
Well, guys, if you're already in a marriage and she's a marriage counselor, look at her brains, just dropping gems. You should definitely hire her. I think she knows. I believe she knows what she's doing. She's great. Like, she's just awesome. Let's take some questions here before she hangs up on us and runs off on us. She's like, it's already time for me to go. I'm sorry. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, there's a question here. It says, why does men want to have a family and still act like they're single? For example, they make more time for their friends than you. And how do you cope, especially if you've talked about it so many times?
Again, like I said, many things they are strongholds. You're not just that man. You're dealing with ideas that his ancestors I've put there because that's if their life and nobody frowned at it. So if you're single and you're dating somebody who pays more attention to his friends than you, again, ask yourself, is this okay for me? Usually the reason why we don't live because we're afraid of starting over. We have already idolized marriage. It's the ultimate. So when you end this one, you are questioning, would I find another person? My clock is, So the root is in the things that you have believed about marriage, about yourself, about your timing. Do you see? Ask yourself, if this thing doesn't change, am I okay to live with it? If you are married, you don't want to rush and say, stop. Don't just talk to your friends. Don't just do this. You want to begin to find out, is he a loyal person? Some people are very loyal. They are a ride or die person. They value friendships a lot. Do you see? And that's not a bad thing. Even though you want him to spend more time with the family, that is not a bad thing. So find a way not to oppose. Don't pitch it against each other. Don't make it a either or thing. Because it's always either or. If you want somebody to spend more time with you, just ask for more time, right? The time that you also spend with them, is it spent complaining? Because if it does, then it's counterproductive. Do you understand? So you want to make sure, sometimes it's not, you can't just say, oh, why are you always spending time with your friends and not spending time with me? And they're like, what do you mean I don't spend time with you? I come home every day. In fact, I spend about 10 hours in this house. It's when I that you have a problem. And so that's where you have to check yourself too. Have you been poised to a place where once you see him grabs his keys on his way out, you're like, oh my God, he never ever thinks of spending, okay, maybe taking me out. Now he's going out with his friends and he's excited. Why is he not excited being with me? All of those things mess your head up more than the facts. So you want to make sure that you're also open-minded enough to see that, okay, he loves friendships and that's not a bad thing. Can I ask for what I also want? Can he give it to me? So do you want to plan a date? Do you want to go? If he has a good time, he will tell you that he's had a good time. And he will say, what, this is great, we should do it again. You're like, yeah, I always want to do this with you, I loved it. Do you see? Make the time that you spend together memorable. Use it for what is meant to be used for, spending time together, not complaining about not spending time together. Do you see? I know how difficult this can be, because you're like, why can't you think about it by himself? By all means, find somebody who can think about it by himself if you're single. But if you're married, we're not going to tell you to divorce him. Do you see? And if you divorce him, it doesn't mean that that's the only thing to do. Do you see? Because anything can make you divorce a person. Find somebody that would be like that and not have something that will still lead you to the point where you want to divorce them. So at the end of the day, some things can be worked on over time, you know, by explaining the value of relationships, more about, especially in action, when they do something nice for you, when they spend a little time with you, magnify it, just blow it up and appreciate it, you know, and they will start to pay attention to the feeling that he gave you, and they want to give you that feeling more, and they'll find themselves spending more time at home. If it's something you can participate in, you to join him. Do you understand? If you can go out with him, you know, spend time together. His friends, if they're your friends. But that would require you not taking a position of offense. If you have already raised your nose about that thing, you will not find a solution about it. So you want to start, first of all, by coming to a place where put down your nose, put down your eyebrow, and seek to understand firstly, what exactly is this thing, spending time with his friend? What kind of a friend is he? What does he value? Because there's a value there that you need to be assessing. When you find the value, you can then find, okay, you know what, is this bad? It's usually not a negative thing, and you can then move towards spending more time together by not pitching spending time with you against spending time with his friend. If you pitch it against, he may pick one and he may not pick you. And he may not pick you not because it's not a family person, but because you are the one complaining, you're the one, you know, giving him a hard time.
Word. Thank you so much. I don't think you could have answered that question any better. There's like so many more questions here. Oh my God, what do we do? She has to go. I'm sorry. Someone said this. We're gonna let you go soon. In the dating stage, is communication a deal breaker?
Nothing is a deal breaker in the dating stage. What is really a deal breaker is unwillingness. Because people are in moments of ignorance. The fact that somebody is dating you does not mean they know everything. You know, I said it at the beginning that you may not find all the content, but you have seen steps in that direction. So if a person is not communicating with you, maybe they don't know how to communicate. There are people like that. They've never been married before. They've never been in a relationship where somebody is demanding communication, or, you know, just talk. Do you see? And so you may find that sometimes people are just not used to it. They don't really know, you know, how to do that. So it's fine. That way you can then invite them into something better. You also don't want to assume a position of authority and make your standard the only way. So because you can communicate, it doesn't make you better. It just makes you different. Do you see? So, but can you empathize with somebody who doesn't like talking much? So that instead of you for me, oh, why don't you like talking much? Oh, you can then take it as information. And then when you want to talk to them and say, you know what, I'm not going to take much of your time. I know you don't like talking. Right. They don't like talking much. Do you see? I know you don't like talking. I'm not going to take much of your time. So maybe max 15 minutes, we're done with this conversation. Can you do that yourself? You too, can you do that? You can't do that now. Do you understand? So, but you just want to talk because you love to talk. You know, you have to go to where a person is coming from and then bring them to where they need to be. But if you're unwilling to go where they are, you may find that you're just sticking with your way, which is another problem in a relationship. So it's not that a lack of communication is the deal. I mean, what do we even call a lack of communication? You know, so it's not like communication is a deal breaker, but an unwillingness to grow is what you may find that's a deal breaker. Someone who's just like, this is how I am. I can never change. Never ever. I don't want to know, you know. That's a deal breaker. For somebody who's making little steps to learn, that's not a deal breaker. Do you understand?
Yes, I love that. Willingness is the willingness. Single people, pay attention to that. It can save you a lot of heartache in the future. But we're gonna let her go. I think we need to invite you back for another session. Like, no, seriously. Like someone said something earlier in this chat. They're like, oh, you should host a single session or whatever. I think we're gonna invite you back if you're willing.
session in January or so. You know, the replay is still available on my page. I mean, you can purchase that. How to Know is the one for you. It's a good one. Over 3 hours of conversations. Really good. How to Know is the one for you. How to pray right, choose a life partner. It's really good. You can buy it. There's one also called Date Intelligently, Marry Wisely. For single.
Okay. So singles, if you're here, you heard what she said. Go ahead and follow her. Look on her website and try to get those books like she mentioned. And when I was thinking of having a single session, I was just thinking we will have me and you will be live, and we'll have a whole bunch of singles come on live asking you questions and just throwing it at you, like what's going on, you know. But hello, I'm almost like losing you. So guys, can you hear me, Mrs. Bisi? They are webinars. Oh, they're webinars. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So guys, go ahead and check out Mrs. Bisi's page, and I believe that we have a lot to learn from her. We really do appreciate you today. One of the last thing that I want to ask from you is, can you pick your the people that you felt like engaged the most? Can you pick like 2 people for them to win something awesome?
Okay, I've been seeing Amida, somebody. Amida Abdul. I've been seeing her comments. And I see her. I mean, she's been commenting so much.
She's like, pick me, pick me.
Don't miss me. You cannot outdo me in this.
No. She came to win. No.
So I see, you know, maybe Bedroom Zone, I think.
Bedroom Zone. No, I love, that's my second mom. Yeah.
So
she's also like a relationship counselor as well. Yeah, I love it.
I see her. Oh yeah. So I think
perfect. So we'll stick with those 2. If Mrs. Bisi picked you, go ahead and make sure that you DM me, and I will be sending you your gifts. Thank you everybody for following this session, for hanging in there, and we just go ahead and just follow Mrs. Bisi and, you know, support her. And if you have any, there were a lot of questions today that we didn't get to answer, but you can always book a session with her and she would be happy to help you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I hope to have you on here again. Hopefully you say yes to me. But thank you. Thank you so much.
This one. So I mean, I'm not sure. You know how long it took to have this. So let's see.
I know you're so busy. We'll see. Guys, I was like, DM me now like all the time. Like I'm just like, I'm a stalker. I'm kidding. But thank you so much. Do have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone. Bye.